Hi, my name is Harry Lawtey.
I'm Kit Harington.
And this is Freeze Frame for British Esquire.
Okay, so this is the first scene where we, story-wise, are together. Is it the first scene?
Yeah, it was our first scene together, yeah.
This is the first time.
Yeah, that was day one, yeah, I remember.
That Harry Lawtey and Kit Harington stepped on camera together, okay. Wow.
Tote bag journalists won't allow us to do a good thing. I'm dead on my feet.
Right, so James Ashford from Ashford Asset Management.
Do you remember that line?
No, James Ashford from Ashford Asset Management. It's etched in my brain at this point.
You struggled with that one, didn't you?
This is like 8 AM in the morning as well, so it's a nice tongue twister to start.
This is the first time you've seen this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Asset Management is on his way in.
When? Why? Why did you allow this?
He's one of your investors. Wasn't he in the friends and family round?
Yes, and his investment is friends and family sized. He's insignificant.
I love it when they pan out to a big wide. When you, like, and you think and it's cause whatever you were doing was just a bit shit.
Yeah, just a bit too big, maybe. He's committed and he's made a big choice.
He's gone really big.
And we respect it,
so
but we're just going to take
pull
it back.
out
Yeah,
for
we're just
the
going to take
big
a back
wide.
step from that. Yeah.
I had seen the show before joining it, and I came to it quite late, and I watched it all as one thing. I blitzed it, and I loved it. I thought it was completely unique and completely original and very cool. I thought you were great.
Thanks, mate.
I thought you were great.
You're cool too.
I'm going to carry on watching this. Quite enjoying watching myself.
Thought your blood sugar might be low.
Thank you so much. That's so kind.
Also, the switch.
She's great.
Yeah, she's amazing. Elliot, she's fantastic.
Yeah.
Also, this is a classic Henry Muck switch, I think. You've just gone from like shouting my head off, and it's thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
He's a smooth operator.
Yeah, you don't know what you're going to get.
They didn't have a keto option, so I just got you what I'm getting.
Don't worry at all. It's very kind.
Yeah, it's Christian. Hey there. We would love to offer you one of our exclusive introductory rates.
Really looks like London, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
I was going to say, I remember them having a slight concern about this backdrop. I think some of it might be painted in, to be honest, because I don't think it looked quite London-y enough.
No, because it was in Cardiff.
Yeah, because it's...
They were like, that looks nothing like London.
City boys. See, this is a thing, right? You are one of those very brave actors who is always willing to eat on camera. And if you eat, it feels like you go for it, right? Whereas I kind of just dance around eating and generally try to ignore it as much as possible.
I think you've got to go with eating on camera. You just got to go for it.
No, I'm one of those wusses because I don't know.
Really get in there because the more you get on the face, the more you can like
in the
wipe
beard.
it off. Yeah, it's all good for like.
It's all very visceral. It's graphic.
Yeah, and that's what I'm doing there.
Yeah. He commits.
And also, he's a public. It's all character.
It's all.
He's a public school boy. He feasts on stuff.
Masticates.
Yeah. I think the fascinating thing, and stop me if you think I'm totally off kilter here, but what we discussed was that the fascinating thing about them is that they're from total opposite ends of the class spectrum. Rob is working class. Henry is from a sort of gentry kind of aristocratic background, public school boy. I've always thought that the interesting thing about the British class system is that the working class and the aristocracy have a kind of love-hate thing, but they both hate the middle class. That's kind of where they bond in a way, is they have this kind of, this very deep understanding of each other, and they sort of hate each other but sort of love each other at the same time. Would you agree?
I think it's this interesting thing that like the likes of Henry and Yasmin are representative for Robert within the show, within the kind of the ecosystem of high finance. There is a kind of a inbuilt desire to assimilate and be accepted in that world and to somewhat kind of transcend his own class, and yet at the same time he can't shake off this distrust and this disliking. And so there's this constant like dichotomy going on for Robert, and the closer he gets to people like Henry, the more that like intensifies. And I think the closer they become to one another, they realise there's a lot that they share, there's a lot they have in common, but there's this kind of giant elephant in the room that they can't quite get past. And when push comes to shove, that's the thing that defines them, and that's the thing that like defines their conflict.
at the end of the day, you might be charmed and like this guy in Henry, Robert might, but you know everything in history tells you that he's going to you over at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there's a weird thing of wanting to be him,
Yeah.
but then also decidedly not as well, you know.
I remember growing up and having this real anger, seething anger, and even hatred towards private school educated boys. When I was at state school, and I used to hate the kids at school who were at the private school. But somewhere underneath it, I desperately wanted to be at that school. Underneath it, it was like it came from a place of like, I don't know, it came from a place of jealousy, I think, really secretly, in a strange sort of way.
But I think
Or
there's so many
envy,
strands to it. Like in British culture, we're just like historically obsessed with it and so engrossed in like the nuances of finance, the nuances of class, sorry, and how we define ourselves in relation to one another, and all the kind of indicators of that, whether it's, you know, and this show is full of them, whether it's dialect or whether it's items of clothing or jargon, you know, they're all kind of key indicators of class, and it creates kind of these closed off sectors. And it's an inherently British thing. I remember at the start when we did the first season, there was so much of the writing that didn't really resonate with my Harlow, because as an American, she didn't look at class in the same way. She didn't kind of relate to it in the same context that British people do. That, like you say, feels like an ingrained thing since you were a kid. You know? It feels like we've been raised to kind of think in these terms. And I think what the show does well at its best is it kind of explodes all of those ideas and notions. And really, I think that's like, the conversation and the dialogue between different classes is the central like thesis of the show, really.
See where this goes.
Tell James I'll meet with him. Patch Pierpoint in. How long have we been working on this?
A day.
Don't know.
Half one.
Close to half a year.
But isn't that, sorry to stop again, but I love that. How long have we been working on this? Close to half a year. And this is episode 1, this is the first time you meet them. So it's not like you're going through the whole thing of these two games. You dropped in season 3, first time meeting this character, when they've been they know each other for half a year.
And I think this is something that Mickey and Conrad do well, is they burn up plot, you know, and if they have a good idea, they run with it, and they expect the audience to keep up, you know. And they don't kind of sit on big plot points and leave them till the end. If they've got, I think we join them in the action, you know, which is nice. Hopefully.
Yeah.
You know, ever since Pierpoint put you on this IPO, I feel like my luck has turned.
For the better.
No.
Now right. I got it in the bin every single time.
But
and then the one time I missed, they've kept in.
That's a metaphor for Henry Muck.
Of course, it's a metaphor. That's what makes me look
Of
like
course,
an
they
idiot.
chose that. Genuinely, like we kind of heard not till a little bit later on in the process that that Kit was joining, and also that you were a fan of the show and had kind of you know, showed an interest in sort of being a part of what we were making, and like
Basically muscled my way in there.
yeah, just bulldozed your way into the show. Yeah, I remember having a conversation with the girls about it. It was a real kind of like vote of confidence for us. Genuinely, it was a very kind of affirming thing to have someone of Kit's kind of credibility and CV, and you know, to have someone of his kind of ilk like want to come and be a part of what we were making was it was a real kind of seismic thing for us. It's a bit awkward because you're here, but
I'm listening to
oh
it,
yeah, I
I'm
bet you're loving it.
Yeah.
But then to come in with no kind of ego or kind of grandiosity, you know, you were really there to work. Yeah, I mean, this was our first day, but it felt like we kind of hit the ground running and got on really well. And
Were you nervous, right, that I was going to come in and just be absolutely terrible? Were you like, what if he's rubbish? And then like, because I was like, what if I come in and they hate everything I'm doing?
We didn't know.
And then they've got this really successful show that works, and they've brought in a guy who's coming and taken a metaphorical dump on the floor.
No, it was just not at all. We were just excited. But I think there is a slight thing. It's a long-running show, and there is like a nucleus to it, I suppose, just from a social side, you know, in the sense that, you know, me and Marisa Mahara have been together since day one, and we're very close. And the show has always felt like a family. And I remember kind of like all the cast members in previous seasons often pulling us to the side and being like, just so you know, it's not normally like this, you know, it's not normally as kind of harmonious and fun and collaborative as this. And so we've always been very kind of proud of that as a reputation for the show, and we've really tried to keep hold of it and maintain it. And so you're always wondering when new personalities come in, what that will do to the dynamic and how it will shift and stuff.
But it's because of you guys, it's because of those core central actors and Mickey and Con. It's because of the dynamic you have that people come in, they sense, oh, this is a good working place. This is a place where I'm going to have fun. This is a place where people take their job seriously, but there's love flying around and fun, and which I think, you know, makes for a successful show. It really is. If you haven't got that, you haven't got a successful show, because the audience can feel it and they don't want to watch people who are not enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
430, we're already trading down at 400. What percentage decrease is that?
This was a hard one.
Do it in your head, please. What did you read at Oxford?
Geography?
Why? Harry, good to see you, mate. Yeah, have a good day.
These are all
Try not
Mickey
to
and
demolish
Con's
it.
friends.
Yeah.
All of these people walking past are Mickey and Con's friends.
I mean, half of the people you see in the show are just Mickey and Conrad's friends, to be honest. It's just jobs for the boys. But this was a funny day. This was on a Saturday, wasn't
This
it?
is a tough scene, actually, because it's one of those that's so rapid fire.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
And there's a lot of movement and moving parts, and then you're supposed to be at the most crisis fueled.
There was a lot of pacing, I remember. We were just pacing around each other for a whole day.
Yes.
Like a day trader then, sir.
Are you kidding? Every tick down is potentially tens of millions.
What, if your net worth?
Tobias, thanks for supporting. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Off the valuation of the company to its public perception and therefore its health, and consequently its ability to do good. How did these hacks get my fucking number?
I've got Ed coming from the Telegraph.
So tell him to fuck off for a minute, yeah? Wait a minute. The Telegraph. Moderate that to piss off then, yeah? Katie, are you okay?
Am I okay? Yeah, fine.
Yeah, you're not panicking, not yet. I mean, Katie, tell me it'll all be fine. Yeah, okay. Don't let me derail you from whatever task you were undertaking.
I know it's not actually my job to tell you this, but you should not speak to the press right now. Anything you say this close to the launch might be considered offering language, and we might get in shit with the regulator. Plus, the market might misread you.
What's her name?
You know name, you just used it. It's Katie.
Katie!
I love that. That was when I read that, was my favourite thing, that he's literally just called it Kate and then forgotten it.
It's all these like different faces though, isn't it? You know, and you kind of fly through those like very well. It's funny. Like the show is like sometimes in its most unexpected moments can be like really funny. I think you know, and especially like in the off lines, in like the ADR background lines. Mick and Conrad have always written like brilliant stuff. There's always like little mini conversations that you might get kind of glimpses of here and there that are very funny. But you had a lot of funny stuff, didn't you, actually?
Yeah, and it's that fine line of going, I'm not in a comedy, right? This isn't a show, but who knows nowadays, but this isn't a show that should be up for lead comedy at the Emmys, right? But like, I'm not in a comedy, I'm in a drama, but with definite comedic elements. And where does that line tip over into the ridiculous and too ridiculous?
Yeah.
How far can I push it?
Yeah.
I spent many years not like having nothing comedic to do.
No jokes.
No jokes.
No jokes for John.
Zero jokes for John.
Zero jokes for John.
Patch the telly through and get Market Watch and City AM and all our other pals. Ask Jeanette for the details. None of the Norton papers. We don't want it to look like a conflict of interest. Thank you, Katie. Yeah, time for some smart triage, yeah? Can you set us up with a war room back at the office? Can we do that?
Like a meeting room?
Yeah.
I remember this being the end of the day on a Saturday, and I think you couldn't get your head around those lines at like 6 p.m.
God.
And you're one of those ones where if you can't like chew a line, you in the office.
Once it goes, it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just remember you screaming in between takes.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
I know, but there are lines like that.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
big time,
And
yeah.
for me, if
I never got any of them. I was like, thankfully, like never blessed with much jargon throughout 3 seasons of this show.
Yeah, you're right. You have been a bit
I
blessed.
took it slightly personally at some point, being like, I can't be trusted with any banking terminology.
Oh yeah, classic.
This home's going cold, right? As long as Lumi gets the installation contract on the prepayment meters. I mean, do you care?
What the hell are you talking about?
Because you forget that I've sat through all your evangelism, your soapboxing. I've heard you parrot all the literature. It opens people's wallets, doesn't it?
That's called selling the vision, you moron. That's bringing people with you.
Yeah, but it's built on nothing.
Yeah, everything's built on nothing. That's how you build something. You talk it into becoming.
Yeah, so you're right. It's messianic. Yeah, it's fake it till you make it. Eh? Well, let me ask you a more direct question then. If you believe in this so
We're so involved in this, we're just not going to talk. I love this scene. Carry on.
then why is the lockup period on your shares so short?
It's 60 days.
Yeah, it's cool. It's almost unheard of. It's the lowest it could be. So you can start selling your shares ASAP after the listing.
So I'm not allowed to be motivated by personal remuneration and by reforming an industry for the better. You see, this is the fucking problem with how so many people see the world. 2 things can be true at once.
But I love that. We'd only just met, but these characters have known this is boiled up
Yeah.
after 6 months.
It's just funny that, like, as a person, you've kind of got to invest in that, when in reality, like, I'd known you for, like, 24 hours at this point, you know?
Yeah. It's a very quick way of clicking.
showbiz.
Showbiz kid. It's a very quick way of clicking with someone, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Wrestling in a child's
Yeah.
ball pit.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I think you're excellent in this scene.
Oh,
I really do, honestly.
thanks, mate.
Oh,
I
what?
think you're very good, too.
Oh,
I need to say excellent.
I watched it and I was fine with them cutting away from my face
Did they?
to you. Yeah.
Oh, this is the first time I've
Quite
watched
a lot
it.
of note.
I'll be looking for that now.
Really?
Can be true at once. Maybe you'll realise that when you grow up.
I've never met anyone with a bigger blind spot.
Oh, spare me. What, the preacher from Pierpoint? You work for an investment bank. You are the parasite's parasite. You're paid to follow me around and service me. Who's a fucking loser here?
You are!
There's lots of nostrils.
You're just like...
What you are?
If I'm angry, my nostrils tend to flare.
It's good though.
Stewing.
It's good. You don't need to do much. It's very naturalistic.
Every other overqualified, underdeveloped, parentally backstopped child. Your wins are yours. And your losses, well, that's somebody else's problem. See, life's one long f***ing MBA course, isn't it?
Still don't know what MBA course is.
Posh and be done with it.
Not a clue.
NBA.
2 words instead of 30. Easier for you. Go on. Say it. But it gives someone like you a genuine thrill.
Nah. I'll just let people call you a posh behind your back. Fuck off.
It's such a childish insult as well. It's like the in-betweeners. I got my head stuck under your armpit.
To try and drown you.
Yeah, in the balls. Just faceful. I think there's a point at which when you do it, just
Let's have a look. Do you?
it's a bit
Because it
surreal.
could go. It's wonderfully surreal. And this.
Again, this is Mickey's child.
Mickey's child.
Yeah.
That's Mickey's daughter who runs in.
Yeah, it was kind of mad because like we had a stunt coordinator. I mean, for one, it's just hilarious because I don't think it's quite the standard of combat scene that Kit Harington is used to. I think that's fair to say.
Well, the wonderful
Get
thing about
stuck in.
stunt guys, that in my experience, is that they come in and he's a brilliant stuntman, but they come in and they go, right, well maybe at this point you give him an elbow to the face and a back fist, and then you're like, well mate, it's just a tussle.
Yeah, it needs to look kind of like ugly and
And they want
pathetic.
it to look as cool as possible.
Yeah. This was designed to make us look dreadful, wasn't it?
Yeah, and you're like, no, these two guys need to look like what they are, which is two guys who have never learned how to fight.
Overgrown boys.
Yeah.
The setting is kind of perfect. I mean, it's not much of a stretch of the imagination to think that like this is where they are designed to fight. Really, that's the level they're at. You know.
Yeah.
It's a playpen kind of thing.
And like a really rubbish, the whole thing about the Lumi officers is that they're just like a token effort at a place that's nice for workers to work.
Yeah, with whoopee cushions and breakout rooms.
And break out in like a foosball table, but it's just the least amount of money spent.
But no, it was mad though. It was funny. That was right at the end of the day. And what
I
is,
love about this also is that you're like, that's for like parents to bring their kids in.
Yeah.
But he's only hired like people about 20 years old. So it's just for the cameras.
And what's funny as well is that even though it looks truly pathetic, I mean, once you've done it about 20 times like we did, it's knackering. Like, it's really tired. I remember being exhausted at the end of that day because we did the scene that comes before it, just before, which we were trying to sort of like focus and do a good job with that one. And there was lots of, quick dialogue.
Yeah.
And then we just sort of celebrated at the end of the day by wrestling in a ball pit.
It was really fun though. However long we were in that Lumi offices, probably a week. Wasn't it?
It was a week.
It was great.
It was a good start.
Yeah, it was some good scenes.
Thank you for watching.
Catch Industry on BBC.